Well, all right, we're back on Morning Line. With us this morning, master mechanic, owner-operator Precision Tune over on Murfreesboro Road in Antioch, Paul Kenny. Nice to have you on, sir. It's a pleasure. We got a lot of calls, so let's get right to it and help as many folks as we can. And we'll go next to David. David, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I'm calling because I've got a car that it gets hot. After I drive it 5 to 10 minutes, it gets hot, and I have to pull over and take off the cap, and the water gushes up. And somebody told me it could have been a thermostat or a head gasket. What do you think?
Thermostat stuck?
Thermostat stuck or head gasket. Okay, let's do cooling system 101.
Now, it probably has the cooling in there, right?
Yes, yes, it has cooling. And number one, I want to let you know when you open that cap and it's under pressure and it's hot, that stuff comes out of there.
Be real careful. You're supposed to let it cool off,
300
right?
degrees. Yeah, you can get burned very badly. So be very cautious anytime you attempt to do that. All right, now once you first start a car, engine starts heating up, coolant is supposed to not be moving. The thermostat is closed. Okay. Then as it reaches operating temperature, the thermostat opens up and it allows the coolant to flow through the engine. The water pump's pushing it. The radiator's cooling it down, supposed to maintain that temperature. Okay. Now, after 5 or 10 minutes of driving, temperature goes up. It could be because it's lacking coolant. It has air in the system, could be blocking it and not letting it push through. Worst case scenario is the head gasket is leaking, and what this is the seal between the top and bottom of the engine around the cylinders where the pistons and everything are. A lot of high pressure on there. It can be pushing pressure out into your cooling system. Okay. It can also contaminate it, put air in there, and not let it flow, so it won't be able to do its job. You want to make sure that your fans are coming on when that thing gets hot, because if the fans aren't working, that could be your problem there. So basically on a cooling system, you got to go down and start eliminating things 1, 2, 3, do a good cooling system diagnosis, see if the fans are working. We use an infrared thermometer both sides of the thermostat to see we got hot water over here at a certain temperature. It's supposed to be hot water over here. So I would get it checked out before you do permanent damage. Hopefully you haven't already done damage to the head gasket.
Because I was going through this with my son, as you know, and there was an issue there where the coolant was gone and the fans would come on. Now, fortunately, he only drives it to and from school. There were no long trips. But I think there was a period of time there that he didn't have coolant in the vehicle. Well, and the engine, fortunately, is running fine. I mean, it overheats. It's going to melt down and ruin the engine, right? Yes, and you can, well, you'll blow your head gasket first off. So, you know, it depends on how hot it's gotten and how long you drove it that way. That's why you've got a gauge or a light on there. Ever gets in the red, shut it off. You know, get to a safe place, pull off the road, let it cool down, because if you run it in the red, it's most certainly going to do damage. That's why you have that light or that gauge on there. How often is there ever just a short with the light, or is that, you know, you don't want to mess and find out if it's a short? But I can't tell you last time I saw actual problem with the light. So it's accurate. They're usually very dependable. Okay. So yeah, all right. Good luck on that. Take care of that then, just before the engine melts down. Right. Let's go to Mark. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Mark.
I got a question. I got an 84 Cutlass. I need a carburetor just to use just carburetor, and so how much you charge? Sure. Oh, we're going old school on me, aren't you, Mark? How about that? Yeah, I adjust carburetors. I don't know if my guys adjust carburetors. They can do electronic injectors all day long, but yeah. And usually you're not you know, if you adjust carburetor, you should set the timing. Just basically properly set it up. You're looking about around an hour labor, you know, around the $80 mark on that. That's very cool. So all right, and that's something that's older school then, right? That's old school. Yeah, you want an old guy like me that can look at that, you know. But yeah, carburetors set them up properly. Also, you want to make sure there's not a problem with the carburetor, and when you adjust one, you can tell if it's behaving properly rather than just going in there, turning screws, idling it up, idling it down. Okay, and so, but all the new cars are fuel injected? All the new cars are fuel injected. There hasn't been carburetor, and man, there was some really good carburetor shops in Nashville, and these guys were skilled craftsmen.
And you know, they're probably still working on cars and stuff, but yeah, that used to be a real art form, is working on carburetors, and that's bygone era. So yeah, that's old school, man. That's fine with me. I'm not scared of those.
There's still folks out there driving some of those cars, so they need it to be. All right, let's go next to Eric. Hi, Eric.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What can we do for you?
Well, I was just listening to the previous phone call about the head gasket. One thing see, my dad was a mechanic, and he told me that if a head gasket blows, it will leak down into the oil and make your oil milky.
Right, yeah. Yeah, head gasket actually will you know, it can leak externally, like cooling out. It can put water in the oil, and it can put water in the cylinder. So you got about 3 different passages right there. But you know, you talk old school tricks these old mechanics used to do. If you've got any water in your oil and the engine's hot, you take that dipstick out and you put a drop of oil on the exhaust manifold. Now, if it's just oil with no water in it, it will just sit there and smolder and smoke. If it's got water in it and you drop it on that manifold, it'll spatter like a drop of water in a hot
Exactly.
Hot gasket. Yeah.
My question is back to the earlier conversation about synthetic and synthetic blend. Can you transfer a vehicle from using regular oil over to synthetic blend?
Sure. And actually, most of the oils that you're buying now, you know, are primarily synthetic blend. You'd have to look hard on the shop.
Meaning it's synthetic blended with real oil?
Well, you've got petroleum-based and then the synthetic, you know, which is just basically a level of refinement, technically, okay? And then you've got full synthetic, which isn't just a bunch of chemicals, but it is, you know, still has petroleum base in it. So, yeah, you can change it over. Now, if I've got an older vehicle that's leaking a quart of oil out every 1,000 miles and stuff, you know, I would probably go ahead with the synthetic blend, no problem. Would I put $10 a quart full synthetic in there? Heck no, because it's I'm going through oil. So yeah, the full synthetics I'd stick with it. But as far as changing from conventional to synthetic blend, I've not read anything from the vehicle manufacturers or the oil manufacturers that show any kind of adverse effects. You know, they say, oh, you can't, you know, you do this, you can't go back to the other. You know, you're stuck with it. But no, you should be fine on that.
Unless, as you say, you're in one of those newer cars that requires synthetic. Then you don't want to switch. Yeah,
stick with it. And a lot of your oil caps will have what you need to have on there.
Yes, you see it.
Very important, the weight. And whether it's a blend, but yeah, I mean, pretty much anything last 10 years is going to be a blend anyway.
Gotcha. All right, let's see. We've got Taylor. Taylor, how are you, my friend?
Good morning. A master journalist and a master mechanic on the same show.
Oh, man, yeah, that's us.
Wow, maybe.
I don't need to tell you anything. I need to ask Paul, though.
Sure.
I am considering, and I've never owned a diesel engine, but I'm considering and I'll just mention the brand, a new Volkswagen diesel engine. And so main question is diesel engines, these smaller ones in the cars, now at a point where yourself and others can work on them okay, and any pros and cons you want to tell me about that, and especially some of these smaller liter engines that are turbocharged and so forth, and you don't need to spend the whole rest of the hour on it, but
I could.
Pros and cons you could give me on that, I would appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Taylor.
Have you got a lot of money?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to kind of qualify this a little bit, Taylor.
Yeah.
All right. Taylor found my Achilles heel right there.
Okay.
I'm not. You know, years ago we had to separate and decide. Going to be diesel, going to be gas. Okay. And the two they've tried to meet over the years, and you know, first diesel was only trucks, and then they put them in cars and stuff like that. So that being said, I am not the foremost authority on diesels. Diesels are great. You know,
they last till forever,
they're the
right?
workhorse of this country. These trucks, I mean, they're great. As far as in the cars, you know, they drive good. They have plenty of power. Used to be diesels would smoke and they lack power. And, you know, well, I'm going to pass this guy. That's sick of smelling that stuff. They've improved that. So, yeah, they're great vehicles. If you can find and afford to have them repaired when it happens, because Lord knows it's expensive. I don't work on them. You know, you're pretty much stuck going back to Volkswagen. Call the Volkswagen dealer and just you know, kind of cold call them, cold shop them, say, you know, how long for an oil change and how much. You know, and do your research online.
So even oil changes, you won't even change oil in a diesel?
No.
Okay, I didn't know it's that big a difference.
There is difference, and especially when you start talking the European, you know, the Volkswagens and stuff, and there's Mercedes and all that. It's a whole different can of worms, and if you're not used to the cost or the weight, you know, I had one guy tell me, you know, getting in was about like going to the VA. Which is a sad, you know, statement right there. My heart went out to him on both cases right there. So do your research on that. Like I say, man, they're slick cars, and you know, nothing wrong with Volkswagens, but they are a whole different breed, and you better be prepared for it.
A little more expensive.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Let's go next to Michael. Hi, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got two questions very quickly. First of all, a lot of states, if your car is like a 2010 Ford, usually you don't have to do an admissions test. And do you feel it's kind of redundant that Metro makes you? I have a 2015 car, and even though it's brand new, I still have to go to MARTA in Davidson County to get that tested. And you know, the newer cars are supposed to be more geared toward clean air.
Right.
And then I feel like, you know, they're really just ripping us off. Second question, as far as new vehicles, what do we as owners need to know about what we're signing into with as far as privacy and the car data that's being stored, or where we go, you know, things that we do or say that can be you know, maybe giving away free information and data that some things that we don't want to be given to the car manufacturer. I own a Lexus, and I wonder about the Connect system where I can have a live person come on the air inside the car, but how do I know that they're not eavesdropping when I don't want them to be? And could you discuss that a little bit? Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, wow. You know, that the second part of that question just blew me. Well, I almost forgot the first part of the question. Okay, emissions testing. Nashville's in a bowl. And when they started, you know, 35, 40 years ago, they want to keep it from looking like L.A. They have succeeded. Okay, we're getting more cars, but it's not polluting.
Not as much smog.
Now, newer cars, you know, they are geared to have less emissions and more every year. 2015, 2016, 2017 still have malfunctions. Okay, every day I get them come in. You know, newer cars with check engine lights and codes in them. The check engine lights and codes is what the emissions station is testing for. So basically, they're being policed to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We're keeping our car running like it should be. Okay, and this is great if you can afford a new car. My heart goes out to the people that have a car that's 10 years old. It's starting to get some wear and tear. It's needing some expensive repairs, like these catalytic converters that are outrageously expensive. You know, and they're the ones that are having to pony up. And yeah, I wish there was some kind of a leeway that the emissions testing stations could do, or you know, appeal process for that, because right now, you know, and you've got to have them tested, you know, back 20 years, and some of these cars are getting rough.
Yeah.
As far as privacy, gosh, we are, you know, you walk in the building here at Channel 5, it's like going into a maximum security prison. There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
They're tracking our phones. You know, on your phone you can turn it off. I don't think you can do that on your car without maybe contacting the dealer and seeing if there is an option on the programming on the body control module. But of course, when you do that, then your onboard GPS isn't going to work.
That's right.
Your theft deterrent system, GPS isn't going to work. Your OnStar, which is GM's answer, and Ford and everybody else got it, where they're doing diagnostic tests once a month. So with all this new technology that we think we want, we're losing a little bit of our individual freedoms and privacy on that. So my advice to you is, don't do anything.
Because
don't be where you don't need to be.
I think of it from a commercial standpoint.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure he's law-abiding. He's not worried he's going to be caught doing some crime. But they can track where he goes, or maybe monitor what he buys, or how far he drives, which could make him, if they sell that information to a business that wants to target drivers like him, and then all of a sudden you're getting a bunch of junk mail. Things like that come to mind.
It's a total invasion.
It's a whole new horizon out there, and I'm sure laws will address it if they go too far invading privacy. It's kind of a trade-off. You have some of this stuff that helps you, but also
and we think we want all this stuff, and then it's like they're getting a little too close.
It's got to be a balance.
Knowing where your car is all the time, 24/7. Why can't that be activated, when you need it, instead of having it all the time? But I think it is kind of an invasion. And as far as them listening through 60 Minutes had something about a month ago where people could actually go over and take over the driving system of a car, Well,
you saw that if you go see the new Fate of the Furious movie, which just came out, which made like $100 million the very first weekend.
We ought to make one.
We ought to make one. We ought to start it. But anyway, that movie, starring Vin Diesel, has a sequence just like this, where they got in, and I don't know if you can really do this yet, but activated a bunch of cars and took them off in an army or whatever like that. So who knows what the future holds. Look, we got to take a break. When we come back, we've got one more segment and a bunch of calls for you.
Okay.
So we'll be back right after this.